From the moment I step into the courtroom each day, I remind myself why I'm there. Yes, there's a bench and a gavel and a set of laws I've sworn to uphold, but behind every traffic ticket and every docket number is a human being with a story. That perspective keeps me grounded. On this particular day, the story belonged to a young man who looked both sheepish and sincere as he approached the lectern. His hair was shaggy, his clothes plain, his eyes tired from long hours on the road. He took a deep breath, glanced up at me, and confessed without prompting that his car had been booted because he'd amassed 5 violations, 3 for running red lights. He was a pizza delivery driver, he said, and he spoke about it like a man who understood the urgency of his work. If you've never delivered pizza, he explained, you might not appreciate the constant race against the clock. You don't get to decide where your next customer lives. You simply go, sometimes miles out of town, no matter the weather or traffic. Every minute that passes is a minute the cheese congeals and the tip dwindles. The pressure to get those pies to the door while they're still hot is intense. He'd made a terrible calculation. He gambled safety and legality against customer satisfaction and, frankly, his own paycheck. As he spoke, you could tell he wasn't trying to justify himself so much as to explain the squeeze he felt. I know it was wrong, Your Honor, he admitted. But if I don't get there fast, I don't get paid. His candor struck me. In my courtroom, I hear all sorts of creative excuses. I've heard about malfunctioning speedometers, invisible no parking signs, and weather conditions that apparently render every red light optional. This young man, though, chose to lay it all out plainly. That honesty matters. It tells me something about a person's character. And character, while it doesn't erase a violation, does influence how I think about holding someone accountable. I leaned in and asked him point blank, "How much do you make on an hour when you're delivering pizza?" He told me his wages barely paid the bills. When I raised the absurdity of paying an $85 fine for a $20 pizza, he actually laughed. "You're right," he said, shrugging. "It doesn't make sense. There's a lesson there about priorities and risk, but also about the disconnect between the cost of a traffic fine and the earnings of someone on the lower end of the pay scale." We talked about his fines, $225 total, and the payment options. I asked what he could afford. He offered $100 up front, but said that $50 a week afterward would strain his budget. That's the moment where judging becomes a moral exercise. The law is clear. Run a red light and you pay a penalty. But the law also gives me discretion on how to collect that penalty. If I push too hard, he might lose his job, fall behind on rent, or resort to more risky behavior to catch up. If I'm too lenient, I risk sending the message that traffic lights don't matter. Balancing those factors is where empathy meets responsibility. As I considered his situation, I thought about what it means to work hard for an honest living. So many people who come before me are hustling, whether delivering pizzas, cleaning offices, driving cabs, or doing any number of jobs that keep our society functioning, but rarely pay enough to cover an unexpected expense. My parents and grandparents were immigrants who worked low-paying jobs. They would have seen themselves in this young man. Their experiences have shaped my belief that justice should never be divorced from compassion. When you administer the law without regard for individual circumstances, you create resentment and you miss opportunities to help people become better citizens. So I decided to accept his $100 and then stretch out the remaining payments so they would not cripple him. I looked him in the eye and said, "You have to slow down and obey the lights. Your safety and the safety of everyone else on the road depends on it. But I understand that you're working hard, and I appreciate your honesty." I could see the relief wash over him. He thanked me profusely, and I thanked him for being straightforward. Later that day, as I sat in my chambers and wrote notes on the morning's cases, his story lingered. Sometimes people ask me why I spend so much time talking with defendants instead of just issuing fines. The answer is simple. Because justice isn't a vending machine where you insert a violation and out pops a punishment. It's a conversation about right and wrong, about rules and real life. In this case, the conversation was about the pressure of delivering a hot pizza and the dangerous impulse to blow through red lights. It was about the mismatch between an $85 fine and a $20 pizza. It was about whether a single mistake should derail a person's ability to earn a living. Most importantly, it was about how honesty and respect go a long way in my courtroom. I believe that when people feel seen and heard, they are more likely to obey the law going forward. I also thought about the message this sends to the broader community. When viewers watch Caught in Providence, they see not just me but the values I try to embody: fairness, empathy, and an appreciation for the struggles of everyday people. They see that a judge can uphold the law while also recognizing the human beings behind the infractions. And they see that sometimes doing the right thing doesn't mean throwing the book at someone. It means meeting them where they are and helping them move forward. That, in my opinion, is the heart of justice.